Hi, I'm Stephanie, the late night quilter, and it is really way too late tonight to be sewing, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to show you how to make a Petti-Romper. Here's a picture of it if you haven't seen one. I have a new friend on the internet, and her name is Melissa from Sew Like My Mom, and she came up with the idea a few years ago of making a Petti-Romper out of a knit, stretchy ruffle fabric, and it's great for this project. Really cute, vibrant colors, or pastels if you like. It comes in all of them. I've given you the link below to places you can order this fabric. And Melissa over at Sew Like My Mom has just celebrated her 5 millionth page view. It's really exciting for her. So click on the link below to visit her site as well. You can print out her original tutorial and use it along with the video to guide you through this project. And you're also going to find a lot of amazing projects that she's come up with there. So I think you're going to really enjoy that. So I'm going to make this Petti-Romper to be about 19 inches around the chest by 24 inches lengthwise from the chest to the mid-thigh, and those are the same measurements that you'll find on Melissa's tutorial. If you would like to measure your own child, you just get one of these little measuring tapes, measure around the chest, and then again from the chest down to the thigh, and you'll get your own child's measurements. So let me show you what you're going to need for this project. So for this project, you're going to need some of the staples that we always use. You need some straight pins. You need your rotary cutter and your ruler and a cutting mat. You need your little scissors and always a seam ripper. And you're also going to need some coordinating thread that matches the fabric that you've chosen, a tape measure for measuring your child, and you're going to need some of this elastic. This is a 1/4 inch wide, and we're going to use this around the chest of our Petti-Romper. You also, of course, need your sewing machine. And you don't need an iron this time. So here's my ruffle fabric. As you can see, each ruffle is about 1 inch wide. It's a gorgeous color, and I think my daughter is going to love it. I have about 2 yards of this fabric, but you really only need about 1 yard, and that would leave you some to make a skirt after as well. So I'm going to start by folding my fabric in half, and I'm going to make sure that the ruffles are going up and down. You can see there's kind of a right side and a wrong side to this ruffle fabric. The right side is a little bit more luminescent and the wrong side is a little bit more dull. So we're just going to keep that in mind because we want to make sure our ruffles are falling the right way. So this is going to become the top of our piece. But for now, we just want to make sure that our ruffles are going up and down for our first cut. So I'm going to take this fabric and fold it in half like this. And I'm going to line up the top with one of the lines of my mat, so when I cut, it will make sure that my cut is a little bit straighter. Okay, and I'm lining up with my 0 point on this side, and on this side, I'm going to cut at 19 inches. Now I'll take the fabric and open it up again and turn it the other way. So now my ruffles are going left to right, right to left, whichever. And now I'm going to make another cut at 24. And again, line it up so it's up against one of your lines on your cutting mat up here. Got my big ruler, and I'm looking for the 24 mark on my mat. And there we go. Now we're going to begin by pinning our seam. So you're going to fold your fabric with the right sides together, your ruffle sides together, and now you'll be looking at the back side of the fabric. And you'll see each little ruffle has a stripe down the fabric. You'll see very clearly. And we're going to pin it so the top stripe matches up with the bottom stripe, and that's going to help us align our ruffles for our seam. And you need to pin every inch or so just to make sure that we really stay straight and keep our ruffles nicely lined up. Otherwise, this seam that will eventually be running down the back of the garment when your child wears it will look very crooked if we don't get this part right. So it's worth the time to pin every inch. And you're going to pin all the way down the piece, and you're going to stop at 4 inches, and we'll deal with that 4 inches in the next step. Okay, so here I am at the machine. I've got my work all pinned, and by the way, since I'm making the Petti-Romper version right now, I stopped pinning 4 inches from the bottom, and we're going to deal with this part later. If you plan on making this into just a little dress instead of a Petti-Romper, go ahead and pin and sew all the way to the bottom. So I've got my fabric under the presser foot, and I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam. I don't have a 1/4 inch foot on my machine right now. Instead, I just have some tape lined up. I've measured from my needle over this way, and I figured out where a 1/4 inch is, and I've used that to mark my spot. So let's get going. I'm going to take out that first pin since I'm under the presser foot. Here we go. We're going to back stitch at the top. And you may find that your machine has a tendency to eat this fabric a little bit. So one of the things that I found helpful was to just help this fabric through a little bit more than I normally would and stretch it just a tad while I'm sewing it to get it going. Just go all the way down to the bottom. Okay, I've finished sewing my seam all the way down, and I stopped 4 inches from the bottom. And now I need to finish this edge to keep it from unraveling. If you have a serger, then you use that, but I don't have a serger, so I'm going to do a zigzag stitch along the edge here. Make sure you have the correct foot on so you don't break a needle. It has enough room there to go back and forth with a zigzag stitch. Change your setting, and you also might want to hold on to these threads back here and help your fabric get started a little bit so this soft knit doesn't get smushed down into your machine, which sometimes happens. All right, here we go. There we go. Now I've taken my new tube and I've centered the back seam. And at this point I'm going to take some scissors. You can use your little thread cutting scissors because this fabric is pretty easy to cut, or you can switch over to your good scissors. And I'm going to cut the back side of the fabric, which is really the front of the little romper that I didn't leave open, right up there. Look, we have legs. And now you're going to go ahead and pin the ruffles matching the lines again. And you're going to seam down this side and seam down this side all the way to the bottom. And you can reinforce with zigzag again in those two places. Now we've sewn the legs and we've zigzagged the edges, so hopefully it won't fray in the future, and we can turn it inside out. Now at this point, we're ready to put our elastic in. I've cut mine to about 18.5 inches. My daughter's chest measurement is 20.5 inches. So we're going to do a couple of inches shorter so we can accommodate the stretch of the elastic. At this point, I really recommend trying this on your little model if they'll let you, because my daughter doesn't need this much length here, and I want to really see what looks best and where I want the top to start. So if I find that she's shorter than this 24-inch length, which she is, her torso is, then I can trim some ruffles off and start there. Or I can leave it the way it is if it is right, and if you want it to bunch a little bit in the center and have some movement, that's okay too. Whatever you think looks better. So my daughter is sleeping, so I'm just going to go hold this up against her right now and see what kind of measurement I can get. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. That was risky, but she didn't wake up, so I'm going to end up cutting about 4 inches off the top because I want it to be a little bit snugger in the torso area without as many wrinkles. So I'm going to grab my rotary cutter. Remember, when you're cutting, cut right underneath the topmost ruffle. So you're left with about 1/2 inch of casing that we're going to end up folding over to put our elastic in, okay? I'm back at the machine and I'm going to do some pinning right here. I'm taking this little leftover bit, we cut the top ruffle off right here, and I'm going to fold it over and make our casing for our elastic. And this knit has a tendency to kind of roll in on itself, which is kind of perfect. It makes it really easy to pin it nice and neat. The only thing you got to watch out for is to pull the ruffle out like that. So it's coming out from the side so you don't pin it, because we would like to sew our seam so this ruffle is going to hang down and cover it. Okay, so pin all the way around. We're going to leave an inch gap right about here so we can feed our elastic through. Okay, happy pinning. See you in a minute. I finished pinning the casing for the elastic, and I'm going to just stitch it close to the edge right here, kind of top stitch it. Again, be careful that you pull out the ruffle from underneath. So the ruffle is going to hang down and hide the stitching on the other side, which is great because I'm not that neat of a stitcher. I don't know if you noticed it, but I also have the coordinating thread in now. I forgot to put it in when I sewed the back seam, but that's okay. I'm not a perfectionist. It doesn't bother me, and you know, maybe I'll remember the next time I make this. That's how life works, right? Better the next time. So here we go. Oh, and there you go. Another mistake for you. I zigzagged. Again, not a big deal. I'm just going to change my stitch over right now and keep going. Okay, I've finished stitching my casing all around in my coordinating thread, and I've left an inch here. Now I'm going to grab my elastic. Now after we finish sewing our casing, I'm attaching a safety pin to my elastic, and I'm going to feed it through into the casing. That way I don't lose it in there. It makes it very easy. Just go push, 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 and pull. All the way around until you come through. After I've fed my elastic all the way through, I'm going to check and make sure that I haven't twisted it anywhere. It looks nice and flat, so I'm going to overlap them about an inch, inch and a half, and then I'll just run it under the sewing machine, back stitching really well. There you go. And you can trim here and here. Trim your threads. And then we're going to close up the casing right over it. Sew it, top stitch it right along that edge, and then we'll be done. I want to show you one more thing. If you want to make straps for your Petti-Romper to make it a little bit more practical for your child to wear, cut off 1 inch of ruffle. And again, make your cut right at the base of your ruffle, leaving this bit of casing above it. Cut this off, leaving yourself about this much. See, I have ruffle and then this stretchy piece that I can use as casing. You'll take it and fold the casing over and pin, just like we did with the casing on the inside of the chest area where we put the elastic around the chest. So you're going to pin right here, and I used a zigzag stitch and sewed all along this edge on the inside. I didn't use any elastic because this is stretchy, and there I have a cute little strap to attach to the romper or to a dress if you're not going to make the romper. It looks cute, it's practical, it's comfortable, and my daughter loves it. There you go. There you go. We have our own Petti-Romper. Super cute. Tessa's going to wake up and be thrilled with her new outfit in the morning. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and please click subscribe so you can see my future tutorials, and give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Thank you. Bye-bye.